Hello friends, Amanda here. Welcome to the Unseen Hands Collective. This is the collective shift, the shape shift we all may move through this month in February. So we're looking at the shape we're shifting out of, the shape we're shifting into, and what that looks like and feels like. Before we get into the cards, the image that I'm getting, it's two images. It's sort of like what's happening on the surface above and what is happening below. Now, if you've been following along, you know that my collective images have had a lot to do with ice recently. You can go back and listen to January's to understand more of that, but I'm getting ice again, and this time I'm seeing like tracks or marks on the surface of the ice, and specifically I was wondering if those tracks were made by like people and animals walking on the surface of the ice, maybe even people skating on the ice and leaving their movements on the surface of the ice, leave some sort of imprint, some sort of shape on the ice itself, on the surface of the ice, if you were to look at it from above. But then there's also something happening. I was on a walk and I'm in a very icy climate right now. And as I was taking a walk, I noticed that there's these like heaves that happen in the ice from the water beneath the ice, lifting it up on top. You know, it's almost like the plates of the ice are shifting. And so it's like as the water moves, it creates this like ripple wave effect on the surface of the ice where it's actually the plates of the ice shifting from underneath. So there's an interesting thing happening here where collectively I'm wondering about our movements as beings who dwell on the surface of the earth, you know, like our movements and the imprints, the tracks we leave in our wake, as well as the movements that are coming from beneath, the things that are changing our landscape and the surface that we walk on and that we are moving on. So here's what your shapeshift, our shapeshift, is looking like. We're using the Mary L. Tarot here. We are shifting out of this temperance energy is here for us in our shapeshift and into the Three of Wands energy. So there's a balance to be found as we vision for the future. Finding balance and steadiness, especially emotional steadiness, where fire and water meet. That is to be found, that balance is to be found here for us as we vision for what the future could hold, what the future could look like, what we desire for the future. Collectively and individually, of course. And then here's what that shapeshift looks and feels like. We have the Ace of Wands, the Six of Wands, and the Seven of Pentacles. A lot of fire energy. In fact, it's all Temperance is Sagittarius. It's all fire energy, Sagittarius and Wands, and then this one Earth energy, the Seven of Discs, which is really taking the forefront for me. These two energies are, and actually the Sagittarius energy as well, is speaking of patience and waiting for the timing to be right, waiting for the larger energetic shifts that are needed to send us towards the future. And I think in this time, again, it's in the waiting, as we wait for things to align, as we wait for the direction, the clear direction, it's a time of asking, remaining balanced as possible, so that we can be in a better position to ask what it is we really want and what kind of vision we are creating. And it's interesting too, because there's a more individual, perhaps, or human story here of a more specific human experience of maybe being of two minds about something, maybe not knowing what you want, but the Ace of Wands, feeling the fire in the belly to jump into action, but not having a clear direction. There's a real restlessness, and the intensity of restlessness is present in this Ace of Wands, wanting to begin. Aces are beginning, wanting to begin, having all of this energy and nowhere to go with it, you know, and that's to me what I'm seeing in the Six of Wands as like the demon that's being slayed is encouraging temperance for that fire energy, is encouraging like, hey, listen, don't reach your hand out too soon while the iron is too hot. You will burn your hand if you reach too soon. That is an energy that I feel really strongly, and that there is power, immense power in patience. Tremendous power in the waiting, because this is an opportunity for us to get a larger vision, to focus on a longer timeline maybe, and to be sure we know what we want. And so it's really important to kind of tame the beast that would jump too quickly and burn itself out. And really, you know, the fire energy is asking, what do you desire? What do you want? And so this is a time, use this time to prepare by asking questions around what it is you want and being sure you know. And what's interesting about that, so as we were talking through these cards with the collective, right, I'm just one person in this trifecta. We have Kevin, who's our astrologer, and Kelsey. And so as we were talking through this energy, Kevin brought up the astrology of the moment, which is Aquarius. It's giving us an opportunity to zoom out and get a larger vision, a larger picture, and to change, to make changes, and to make adjustments as needed. Especially with Uranus and Taurus, that's an interesting thing of like, Taurus is earth, Uranus shakes it up. So if the earth is being shaken up, that again brings me back to that image of something, some energy moving below the ice, changing the landscape, changing the way it looks and feels at the surface. But another thing she brought up is the nodal axis, the south node being in Sagittarius. There's all this fire energy in this collective reading, and the north node in Gemini. And you're going to hear the collective talk about polarities a lot. If you're following along here and you're following our process and our work, you'll hear us talk about polarities in February, especially in Kelsey's guidebooks that she makes for each of the each of the signs, more personal shifts. She's going to help us learn how to work with our polarity. And by polarity, I mean the opposite sign on the zodiac. So I'm Virgo, my polarity is Pisces, for example. If the south node is in Sagittarius, the north node is in the polarity. Gemini, they are opposites, but what do they have in common is a search for the truth. Sagittarius is seeking the truth because that will help orient us in the direction we need to go in. This is trying to get to the truth of what we want, because that will clarify our direction, where we are aiming ourselves. I think this process is more of the Gemini energy of allowing ourselves to ask questions around what we want, allowing ourselves to question our desires and to question our impulses and to question ultimately the larger vision. Which is, again, coming back to this ice imagery. So being able to, if we were a bird and we could fly above these people skating along the ice or walking, creating tracks on the ice, we'd be able to see the larger implications of their movements and the larger shapes that the ways we are moving is making on the surface. And that may help us to get a better idea of how the landscape itself needs to shift and what our particular impact is on that landscape. Yeah, I'm definitely talking about climate change. There's one more thing I want to say before we end this collective reading, my friends. Again, Kevin and Kelsey are going to take what I've just given you and run with it and give you more dimensions to work through this. But I want to leave you with this. So we've moved through all of the readings for February's energy for each sign. And there's some through lines for each element: air, fire, earth, and water, that I want to share with you, and specifically how they are, how those through lines are awakening the polarity. And then Kelsey, in each of your guidebooks, is going to help illuminate more specifically how your sign is working with the polarity. What are the tools available? Okay, so the through lines I'm seeing here for the air signs, we'll start with y'all since it's Aquarius season, okay? The through line through the Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius readings is moving stagnant energy. So moving stagnancy would be an example of that fire energy, of air signs working with their polarity, which is fire energy. So air signs, my friends, how are you working with your polarity, with your fire energy to move stagnancy in your life? Fire signs, your polarity is air. And the through line I'm feeling through Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, all your readings are about finding freedom and space, which of course, fresh air, space, freedom, these are all elements of the air, of your air polarity. Earth signs, your polarity is water. Your through line is surrendering into connection. And connection, emotional support, connections, things like this. This is water energy. This is more of the element of your polarity and the energy of your polarity. So it's like, how are you surrendering to that water energy of connection? Water signs, your through line is embracing emotional balance and stability, which would bring in your earth energy polarity. Finding balance, finding stability. These are all earth elements, earth energies. Okay, so I'm really excited to share those things with you. I hope that you're able to use this information and use the energy that came through today through the vision, the images, the cards, and some of the ways that me, Kelsey, and Kevin are connecting the dots in this collective energy. We wish you all the best this February. I invite you now to go check out the Collective Shift Scope to see how the planets are influencing us collectively, and check out Kelsey's collective guidebook so that you have some sort of touchstone to work through this energy. Through journaling, through all sorts of, Kelsey offers like ritual and imagery, different ways to see how this energy is moving and expressing in your life this month. So thank you for being here, my friends. We are so happy to connect with you over these shifts, and we hope to hear from you. So we would love to hear from you at any time in the month. How are your shifts working out? How are they playing out for you? And how are you moving through this energy? Thanks for being here. Happy February.
So as we're midair flying across, we're like, oh my God, I had no idea the world was this. I had no idea that this was available. Now that I'm out of this stuck place, look at all of the vistas, look at all of the possibilities to things that I had no idea were available to me because I was so stuck in one reality. Okay? So that was January. I was, catapult us out, and now we're in midair, and we're beginning to see oh my gosh. So Mercury, while the sun is saying, oh my God, showing us all this stuff, Mercury going retrograde is now okay. So all of this possibility here, what do you choose?